Welcome to Recapper. Let's discuss 7th episode of Beef. The events of the previous episode are followed by a time jump of 8 months in episode 7 of Beef. The opening scene shows a beautiful view from Amy and George's new vacation home, indicating that they have successfully closed a deal with Jordana. And Amy has agreed to run Koya House for another 5 years. Danny has taken over as the leader of the praise team and captivates everyone with his heavenly voice. However, Edwin is not seen near the stage and is instead holding his newborn at the back, while Veronica joins in the singing. Edwin appears unhappy and jealous. Meanwhile, Danny and Esther are now a couple and seem to have a perfect life. Edwin and Veronica's marriage is going through a rough patch, but Danny suggests that prayer is the only way to fix it. Amy and George have also welcomed a new pet, Luca, for their daughter June, and their relationship seems to be blossoming. Little gestures like Amy letting George believe that he saved the day with the deal by selling the Tamago are helping. George is planning a party at their house the next day, so they leave their vacation home. Danny's life has completely transformed, and he has become the person his parents always wanted him to be. He has even built a house for them to live in, and they are flying out the next day to stay with him. Paul now has his own apartment. And George reveals to Amy that he had an emotional affair with Mia, which has been troubling him. Although it was not physical, George was attracted to Mia, and they connected on a deeper level, which confuses Amy. However, George is genuinely apologetic, and Amy decides to meet Dr. Lynn alone to use this information to her advantage. Edwin unexpectedly shows up at Danny's house, where Paul, Bobby, and Michael are also hanging out. He expresses his desire to become a part of whatever shady construction deals Danny is involved in, hoping to make more money to support his new baby. Paul overhears their conversation. But Danny pretends that his business dealings are legitimate and above board. Amy is struggling to come to terms with George's infidelity. She remembers the strong feelings of love they had in the early days of their relationship, but those feelings have faded since June's birth. The added responsibilities of parenthood have driven them apart. Although she still sees goodness in George, she wonders if their salvageable parts could ever come together to create a happy life. Amy is overwhelmed with emotion as she asks if it's possible to love someone unconditionally. But she tries to focus on the present instead of dwelling on her past experiences. George meets Danny, going by the name Zane, and they have a pleasant conversation until it turns to Danny's depression, which George encourages him to speak to Amy about. Danny is hesitant but eventually invites George to the party that night, where they will be celebrating George's artwork and all of the main characters will be present. At the party, we see Jordana and Naomi kiss passionately. While Amy is shocked to see Danny, she confronts him angrily and asks why he's there, but he tries to make amends and asks about her well-being. For a brief moment, Amy responds positively. But their conversation quickly turns sour like it always does. Danny notices the waist tattoo that Amy has and compares it to a photo of Kayla, which enrages Amy. He storms out of the party, calling her a sick psycho. Amy follows him and warns him not to blackmail her with the information. But their relationship devolves into insults, and they continue their ongoing feud. Amy expresses her concern that Paul's involvement in their marriage has gone too far and may cause irreparable damage. She suggests to George that they should move to a different location, and he agrees. Later, Danny returns to the house and finds Paul scrutinizing the company's accounts. Paul discovers discrepancies between the reported accounts and the actual cash flow. Danny becomes anxious and tries to change the subject by revealing Paul's lie about Kayla's identity, who is actually Amy from the road rage incident. Danny further instigates Paul by claiming that Amy called him a child who needed guidance and help. In retaliation, Paul tells George that he had sexual relations with Amy and has evidence to prove it. Amy witnesses this on her phone's door camera and rushes to the house. Meanwhile, Danny picks up his parents from the airport, and they are proud of him. However, upon arriving at the house, they discover that it is engulfed in flames and completely destroyed. Amy returns to find that George has taken June and left, and she breaks down in her car. That was the recap of 7th episode of Beef. Thank you.